Hello there everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to Crochet Witch Tarot. Renamed. That was the big thing of this week. If you didn't see my little announcement video yesterday, I have changed the name of my channel. I wanted to change it just to something that felt a little bit more me. The name Adventures in Metaphysics came from the Instagram account that my friend Rachel and I kind of co-host together, I guess you could say. But I really feel like this channel on YouTube has really become my kind of own space, so using that name just wasn't really feeling like the right thing. So I actually a week ago also made an account, Crochet Witch Wears, which matches up with my Etsy shop, just to show more of my personal kind of crocheting projects or ones for the store, and more about the readings that I do other than my daily polls. So I still post my daily polls along with Rachel over at Adventures in Metaphysics on Instagram, but if you want to see kind of the other things that I get up to throughout the day, you can follow Crochet Witch Wears now on Instagram. So making that shift, it just felt like this was the next right thing to do, but I wanted to kind of keep the focus on tarot, I guess you could say, on this channel, since I don't talk too much about crocheting or things of that sort. So it's Crochet Witch Tarot. That was a long explanation, but there you go. So that was exciting. Anyway, I think we should just get right into talking about the decks from last week and then move on to this coming week. I am talking a million miles a minute. I had 2 cups of coffee this morning, which I used to be able to do no problem, but ADHD medication is a wonderful world. It's a wonderful world, but it also means you cannot have as much caffeine as I used to be able to. So that's the thing. Okay, let's first talk about the oracles. Yes. So, quickly, Coastal Curiosities, which I don't know if I've mentioned, this was actually the first or second bag I ever made. And I always look and I'm like, I feel like I could make one that matches a little better with this deck, but I can't, like, I love this deck so much, and it just feels right to kind of keep it in this, one of the first bags I made. And it does somewhat match. I kind of picked the yarn out based on the fronts of the cards, which just have these beautiful, beautiful warm colors. I just love this deck so much. It's such a good all-arounder for me. I can pull this out whenever, and with whatever tarot deck, it's gonna work. It's just one I always come back to. And again, these, if you haven't seen, the second edition is currently still on Kickstarter. I believe it hasn't finished its campaign, so if you want to check that out, there's some really cool changes that Lennox has made to this deck. There are 10 more cards, which is amazing. The backs are different, some of the colors are a bit updated, and one of the cards, the keyword, is changed, which I'm really excited about, because she actually did that to the one card that I didn't really jive with. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I might have actually taken it out of, like, my deck that I might have just separated it out because it just didn't really connect for me. Which card was it that she changed? I might have... Where do we think that is? I think I actually might have separated it out, but I'm not positive where I went with it. What card was it? I guess I could always look at the... I'm determined now. I feel like I wouldn't have just taken it completely out. But seeming like I did. Seems like I did. I'm just... You ever get your mindset on something and you're like, I can't not find it now, I need to figure this out. So now you can all just watch me do that, I suppose. No, I think I did actually take it out of the deck. Okay, whatever. So that's updated, so that'll be exciting, since clearly I must have gone to the extent of taking it clear out. Yeah, so definitely check that out if you're interested. It's possibly my top favorite Oracle deck. I can say that with some confidence. I just really love this one. Next, we had the Hollow Valley deck of symbols, which I've really been enjoying using. It didn't come out to play too much this week. Oh my goodness, I just launched the cards. They're slippery cards, I will say that. It's really nice cardstock, but a bit slippery. Yeah, I've really been enjoying this deck. I have discovered that for my oracles, I really need them to either have keywords or be kind of just symbols like this. That's kind of what I have an easy time working with. All the decks that I've gotten that aren't one of those two, I seem to pretty quickly rehome, or, you know, at some point they move out of my collection. So I'm excited to keep trying this out. We're not going to keep this out this week, but I really did like this one when I used it. Yeah, kind of, so, like, my other decks of symbols, kind of like the Holly Oddly Cemetery decks, those are, like, symbol-like, or, like, the next one, Memento Mori. That was the other Oracle deck I had out this week, but I have to say, this one, I enjoyed kind of testing it out to use as an Oracle, but I just don't think that's what this deck is to me. It's not really a true Oracle. It feels like its own entire divination system. I also edged it. This is not the entire deck. I took out like half, but I edged it in the same kind of like antiqued color as the front. I did the same thing with my Antique Anatomy mod, and I really like how it looks. But I love using this one, and I actually really enjoyed bringing it out for my daily polls. And I feel like I just kind of put this one away for a while before taking it out this weekend, just hadn't touched it for a long time. And I forgot how much I really enjoy using this deck. It feels very just instantly connected to spirit. Again, it's unique in a way of that it feels like its own thing entirely. Like, not tarot, not an oracle, just its own thing. And I really did, but I loved using it, you know, in conjunction with tarot this week. It really, I don't know, I really love this deck. I really do. It's quite the chunker. I've got the General Expansion Pack and the Folk Magic one, and I couldn't imagine having any other expansion packs included in this, because look at this. It's quite chunky, and I love it. Like, I've gone through this being like, maybe there's some cards I can take out, and was I even looking at the camera? Where was I just looking? Anyway, I've gone through being like, can I take some of these out? But I love all the cards, so we just carefully hand over hand shuffle this one. So that is the Memento Mori Oracle. And I didn't actually use any other Oracle besides what I planned to this week. I don't think. Am I lying? Let's check. You know, at least in my daily polls. That's my goal with these decks, is to use them for my daily polls. Hold, please. I just want to make sure I'm not lying about that. Oh, I am. I used, this on Friday. Love Your Inner Goddess. This was my Fun Friday deck, so... Oh, and I also used Song of the Grandmothers. The, prototype deck. But mostly I used those. Pretty good. The tarot we had planned. Dame Darcy's Mermaid Tarot. I'm so glad that I brought this one out. This is one that, for whatever reason, I don't bring out super often. And I always look at it being like, should I consider, like, decluttering this one? Like, I don't use it super often, but whenever I'm flipping through the cards, I don't know why, I'm just like, I can't. Like, I love it. I love this one so much. Oh, that's my favorite High Priestess. How good is that? I completely forgot about this deck when I was doing my 22 majors, but I don't know, I love that one so much. Anyway, I enjoy reading with it so much too, like getting to use it a few times this week. It's just so good. I think this is probably going to be back out very, very soon. I just really enjoy using this one. It's so unique. I just really don't have any complaints. I don't know why I don't use it often. I think I got stuck in my head that, like, it's a summer deck. And now that it's summer, I don't love summer. So part of me, like, resists using the decks that I deemed as summery, which is so silly. So I think I just need to, I'm working on not attaching seasons to decks so intensely, because there's some that I just like using whenever, and I kind of just want to mix it up. So we're gonna try that with this deck too, and see, like, I don't know, just challenge myself to bring it out at other times. But I think this will probably be out. It's not gonna be next week, but maybe the week after. Oh, the backs are so good. So that is the Dame Darcy's Mermaid Tarot. And the last tarot I had planned to use this week was my modded Antique Anatomy, and I don't actually think I brought this one out more than once. I don't know why. I love it. I really do. I love this one. I got a Moonlit Fae bag to keep it in, which I'm so excited about. I was gonna make one of my own crocheted bags. I really like doing that for decks that feel really, really special to me, and this deck does. But I was worried with the book pages I added. They're very sealed, but I was worried they would snag on the yarn. So I was looking at Moonlit Fae's website last weekend, and she put out this new line on Sunday with this kind of antiqued notebook paper with all these flowers, and it felt too perfect. And I love her bags. So it feels really special, you know, even though I didn't go and make it myself, it feels like a really special bag to have. So I'm excited about that, but I love using this deck. It just feels so personal to me now that I've added, you know, these book pages and symbols. Let me know if you want to see a walkthrough of this. I feel like I keep saying I'm going to, but let me know if that's something you're interested in, because, you know, I don't need to walk through my personalizations, if that's not super interesting. But I really love using this one, and I do like going through and looking into the flower meanings of what's showing up on these cards. I know that in the guidebook there's nothing explicitly said about the flower meanings, and it's kind of been talked about that there's no rhyme or reason, but I don't believe it. I don't believe it, because I've been looking at the flowers of the cards I pull through the lens of floriography, which is the Victorian language of flowers, which was big time my special interest as a child, so I remember a good bit, but if not, there's a lot of good books and just websites about it too, if you want to look that up. And it matches up. It really does. So I'm not convinced. So I'm kind of writing it into the guidebook myself, which has been a lot of fun. I'm thinking of putting together something digital to be able to share. I'm not super sure. Amanda at Venus and Virtue got this deck too recently and is interested in figuring out a way that maybe we can do like a joint notebook or something. I don't really know how we do that. Maybe they know. But that would be really cool, and again, something to share of like kind of the findings. I think that would be super interesting. But yeah, I love how this came out. I don't know why I didn't use this more this week, but this is going to be out quite often, I have no doubt. So that is the Antique Anatomy. That was the last deck I planned to use. Now, the decks that also got a lot of play, mostly just coming to work with me. I like to pull cards right when I get to work as well. Just to get a feel specifically for kind of what's the energy of work that day. My morning pull is just like my day as a whole, not necessarily just about work. So this one is like specifically like when I'm sitting at my desk and in that mode. The first one was the Adventure Time Tarot, or totally unofficial, official Adventure Time Tarot. I love this one. I really I love this deck so much. I don't know. And I've really enjoyed bringing it to work as well. This one just never seems to go back in my cabinet. I got donut on this. Oh my gosh. There's glaze on this. Darn it. Oh, it came off. Okay. I like to get donuts for breakfast on Friday, and I guess we got this card because there's glaze on it. No longer. Yeah, I love this deck. This one is just constantly out. I don't know the last time I saw this one back in the tarot cabinet because I use it constantly, you know, at work or after work. It's the one I just like to kind of carry around with me. And I think it's because I know these characters so well, and I've just found it so fascinating to add layers to my tarot knowledge through the characters that show up on these cards. It's been a really interesting thing. So this one's just always out. I love this one. The other deck that I took out a good amount is one that I got because Rachel loves this one. She has this deck, and it's one of those, I'm thinking of doing that My Disheveled Decks tag. I haven't done it yet, but I love watching those videos, and this deck would be one of Rachel's disheveled decks. It's so broken in. She uses it all the time. And I never was interested in it because it just didn't feel very me. But she let me use it to pull from a few weeks ago now, and I loved it, especially the guidebook. It's so comforting, but in a good way, not like a toxic positive way. I should say what it is. It's The Good Tarot by Colette Baron Reed, and I don't have any of her, I've never had one of her other decks. The artwork just doesn't generally tend to interest me, and even this is like very outside of my norm. I do love the backs though. How pretty is that? It looks like a carpet that would be in like a abandoned undersea shipwreck, don't you think? Like the carpet left behind. That's always the sense I get. I don't know why. Yeah, I've grown to really enjoy the imagery. It's so different for me, but I've kind of been liking that. I've been liking going outside of my comfort zone in that way, and finding these decks that I end up really enjoying that I never would have tried. So I got this actually when I went to pick up a copy of the Antique Anatomy to modify. This was in Barnes & Noble as well, and happened to be the day after I tried Rachel's copy. So I wanted to give it a try, and it's all about the guidebook, I feel like, for me. Again, the imagery is totally growing on me, but the guidebook is where it's at. I've just really been enjoying this one. It's so funny because it's been around forever. And like I feel like this was the first deck I ever even saw, because it's what Rachel, I don't think she learned on this one, but it was one of the first decks she had. So this was really like one of the first decks I was exposed to at all before I even got my own tarot deck. And I always was just like, no, that one's not for me. Like, it's interesting to see, but it's not for me. And now that I have I'm like, man, I feel like this would have been really cool to have. Although it goes a bit in its own direction, so probably not amazing to learn on, but I don't know, actually. Maybe it would be. I say that, and like I learned on the Cat Tarot, which is not super standard, so you can do whatever you want, you know? But I really have been enjoying this one. I think that is it, actually, for the decks I used. I brought out the Teeny Tiny Tarot ones this week as well, but that's one that kind of tends to stay out too. Actually, maybe I'll start there. I didn't even take it out. But this is one that, again, I brought out last week as well, and it's not going to be in my rotation per se for this week, but we are going on a little weekend trip this coming weekend, and this is probably the one that's going to come with me because it comes every time I go on a trip. I do have the smaller version of the Gentle Tarot. That will probably come as well, but I just feel like I can't not bring this with me when I'm traveling. It's almost like a comfort thing. I don't know. I don't love... I enjoy my time when I get somewhere, but the buildup of going on a trip and having to, like, not sleep in my own house gives me some anxiety. Don't love that. So, just having this where I'm like, okay, well, the teeny tiny tarot's coming, so, like, it'll be fine, right? Probably sounds insane, but it actually helps. So, this will be coming out again this week, probably next weekend. But now let's get into the decks that I plan to use for my daily polls this week. The first one, actually, we'll do an honorable mention of the prototype of Song of the Grandmothers, because this is one that I've just kind of kept out. I did use this last week too, actually. I've kept out because I've just really enjoyed getting to know this one and trying it out before the Kickstarter launches July 22nd. It's a beautiful deck, it really is. I have been really impressed and loving this one. Like I said last week, I do have a walkthrough of this up. But yeah, this one has not disappointed yet, and I don't imagine it ever will. So this one will stay out this week as well, just because, I don't know, I've been pulling a card from it every single day in some sort of fashion, so this is another one that just stays out. So that's the honorable mention. But other than that, my two Oracle decks that I'm using this week are brand new to me, which I'm very excited. So I got in yesterday a copy of the Illuminated Earth Oracle, which is one I've been looking at for what feels like probably years now, at least a year and a half. And I just was going back and forth on it, and like having it in my hands now, I'm so sorry that I did that, because I'm like, I see why people rave about this one. The keywords are just so fantastic, and what the guidebook has to say is so fantastic. This is by, where's the name? Claire Mack. You can find this on Etsy, and it's just so beautiful. The cardstock is really thick and nice, and it's a really balanced oracle deck. I think that's what I'm really enjoying about it. It feels very connected to nature in a almost like magical but also sciencey kind of way. It's interesting, but I'm really excited to use this week. And the second oracle is a Kickstarter I got in that I'm so excited about. Let's get this back in the box. Okay, it is the Little Bug Oracle by Joanna Nelson. I'm so excited about this one. I love Joanna Nelson's artwork. I only have her Mons Tarot. I don't have her two other decks because I just love the Mons Tarot so much. But something about her artwork and having it in person and seeing the colors, I just don't even know how to explain it. It's the richness of the colors, and almost like it feels like it's painted in with that really nice liquidy smooth like Crayola paint you used to paint with as a kid, where like you would get it so full, your paintbrush so full of paint, and just make stripes across the page. And you know what I mean? I know it's probably painted with something much nicer than that, but that's the sense I get. And look at this. I feel very connected to the Mons Tarot. It's something that I don't feel like I show it much, but it's because I tend to use it a lot of the times for shadow work. That is just the way that I connected to that deck. And the readings I do tend to get very, very intensely personal. So that is one that I pull out all the time, but might not seem like it because maybe I just don't show that. But I knew right away that I was going to back this because these little bugs are kind of background characters in the Mons Tarot. And at first I backed it because I was like, oh my gosh, that'll be so perfect to pair with Mons Tarot. And I've already tried that, and it's true. It is true. They do pair really nicely together. But I kind of, you know, realized that that's what I was doing, and took a lot of second looks at the deck, I guess you could say, went online, because I just realized that, same as, you know, goes with her other two tarot decks, I didn't really want to get caught up in any sort of, like, creator collecting, like a gotta catch 'em all mentality. Which I know kind of, I can have that instantaneous reaction, and I know that about myself, so I try and be wary of that. But I still, you know, decided that no, I think this is gonna pair well with a lot of my decks. And I really want to try it out. It's just the characters that I really love. And so I did try it with the Mons Tarot, and it worked beautifully. It really just was so cohesive with that. And instantly, I pulled out the Mons Tarot to be a deck for my daily readings. But I realized, one, that, again, that one gets into very, very, very deep personal work for me. And so I don't think it is something that I need to be using as a daily poll, per se. But also, again, I was like, well, my goal is to kind of challenge myself to not have this, like, creator collecting thing going on for myself, which is totally valid. I mean, I feel like I practically do that with the Holly Audley decks. I'm not saying that's a bad thing by any means. I'm just saying, like, at least with Joanna Nelson's work, I've noticed that there are some decks of hers that I didn't feel connected to and don't have. So if I already, like, wasn't on that train, I didn't want to just get on it now. Am I making sense? I didn't want to just, like, get on it now because it's cute. You know, I don't know. I'm over-explaining. All that being said, I wanted to challenge myself to pair it with something else other than Mons Tarot, because that was kind of the idea I had, that, no, I'm gonna get this because I do think it'll work well with other tarot decks besides Mons Tarot, because I don't want to pigeonhole anything. I think that's what I'm trying to say, is I don't like to pigeonhole my decks. Or I try not to. So, the tarot decks I have out, we'll start with the one that I really, like, specifically brought out to try pairing with the Little Bug Oracle, and that is the Playful Heart Tarot. I'm really excited to have this one out. This is one that I feel like I keep almost taking out, or have kept almost taking out for weeks now, and for some reason just don't. And I love this one so much that it's like, I just wanted to get some more playtime. And I think it's gonna work really well with the Little Bug Oracle. I tried it out yesterday and it seemed to pair really well, so I'm very excited to have this one out. It's just so happy, and I feel like it works really well for my daily poll purposes. Yeah, I don't know, I just really love this one. I'm so excited. They make me so happy, and I feel like that was my instant reaction to the Little Bug Oracle, was just to smile. And that's what this deck does for me too, so I think it's gonna be a really cool pairing. And then the second tarot deck I have to use this week, eek! I can't get this back in the bag. I'm trying not to make such a big mess. I always leave all the decks out and then I have to clean up this huge mess after I'm done filming. You're really getting an insight into the process. Okay, so the other tarot deck is Pagan Otherworlds. And this is also one I've not brought out in a while, and always, like, question, like, should I declutter this one? But something about it I really love. And for a while I was like, is this like a fantasy self thing? But I don't think it is. I think this is like, this deck feels me in a way that convinces me that the fantasy self I do tend to have is real. Does that make sense? I don't know. But I really love this one, and I'm excited to have this out. If you notice, or if you've kind of used these two decks, they are both made by the Expert Playing Card Company. It's that very slippery linen cardstock. So I'm not gonna lie, part of the motivation is that I finally learned how to riffle shuffle yesterday from the side. My hands are not big enough to do like a, you know? So from the like top corners, I finally learned how to do it. And it was using this cardstock is much easier to kind of do that with, and I got really excited. So I was like, well, okay, I've been wanting to bring these two out anyway, so we're doing it. So I can riffle shuffle. I just think it's so exciting. I don't know. I've never riffle shuffled before, and I was like, well, let's just try it, and I did it. I did it. So, Pagan Otherworlds, also coming out. Very exciting. I love this one. I really do. Is that all I have to talk about? Oh, okay, so I don't know if I'm gonna use this one, but I pulled it out because I kind of want to. But this is gonna be like my like extra, like maybe we'll bring it out deck. Like I definitely want to spend time with these ones, but if I feel like switching it up, we are going to possibly use the Cute and Creepy Tarot. And I just think it also would pair really well with the little Bug Oracle. And I just really like this one and haven't brought it out in a while. And I just kind of am feeling like I want to. I took it out today to use as for my pictures for my shop update for my bags, and I was like, wait, oh my gosh. I really want to use this one. I've also been really wanting to color in the guidebook. The guidebook is on like a coloring book paper, so I really want to color it. I think that'd be so fun. So yeah, this one may or may not come out. I think I'm gonna put it out on my reading desk where I keep my decks for the week, just as an option, but I guess you'll have to stay tuned to find out if that happens or not. Oh, I'm leaving you all on the edge of your seat, I know. But I think that is all I have to say for today. So thank you all so much for all of your support this week with the new Instagram accounts and name changes and all things of the sort. And other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful beginning of your week.